Hi guys, my name is Christine, and today I'm talking about how to live in the end result. So this is a Neville Goddard inspired video. So how can you live in the end result? Because you hear it all the time about, okay, you gotta feel the end. You gotta feel it from the end. You gotta imagine and feel like your wish has already been fulfilled. So how do you do this? Because it can be quite tricky. So this is all about control and self-control. And it's about controlling your thoughts and controlling your feeling and remaining in the present moment. Okay, and now this is very tricky because we've been maybe programmed to think a certain way. Like, for example, we're thinking about what we're going to do next. Like, I'm thinking, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. You're thinking about your to-do list. You think about tomorrow. You think about, what you need to do, what you're going to have for dinner. And so it can be very difficult to remain in the present moment and to control your thoughts and to control your feelings, because basically a thought signals a feeling, right? So if you're thinking of something in a certain way, you'll begin to feel something, right? So for example, if you're thinking about your job, and let's say for example you're feeling really anxious about your job right now, and you're thinking about your job, what you're feeling then, you're beginning to feel the anxiety. You're going to start to feel anxious inside yourself because you're thinking about the job. So basically, if you're thinking about the thing that you want manifested, you're going to be, and basically you're imagining in your head what it would be like when the thing that you want to have happen happens. Then you're going to start signaling the feeling. You're going to start to feel how it would feel like because you're thinking about it. And that's simply it. But it's all about staying in the present moment. Now, staying in the present moment is quite difficult. But once you do, what you'll notice is this. At least this is what has happened for me. Like, whenever I sit myself in the present moment and I just sort of like look outside and I'm just sort of looking at the sky and the trees or something like that, or I'm just, just observing my surroundings and just trying to stay in the present moment, what I suddenly get is this sense of wholeness, this sense of everything is working out fine. Everything is working out for me, especially when you get into that like really spiritual sort of like feeling and sense, and you realize that actually everything really is just perfect. It's when we're worried about the future or we're thinking back on the past, that's when we sort of stir up these old emotions, and they're not the emotions of the manifestation that you want to happen, are they? If you're thinking about your job that makes you anxious, or you're thinking about what you did when you were 5 years old and wish you hadn't have done that, right? Then you're focusing on those things. You're not focusing on the thing that you want. You're not focusing on living in the end result. But when you're in the present moment and you're controlling how you're thinking and how you're feeling, then you are living in the end result, because you're thinking of what you want to think about. You're thinking of what it is that you want to manifest in this life. And you're thinking that way, and then you begin to feel that way. And by living in the present moment, you start to feel it in a really deep, deep way. And because when you're in the present moment, you tend to feel more whole, you tend to feel more at peace, because you're just focused on something, right? We'll go through like an exercise that can help you stay in the present moment. When you're doing that, you want nothing anyway. And because you want nothing, you actually will be able to then have everything. Now, I know that's a bit of a paradox, but when you want nothing and you feel like everything is working out fine and that everything is on time and everything just feels good, and your life is basically being orchestrated by divine timing, you feel whole, you feel oneness, and you don't need anything in that moment. And because you don't need anything in that moment, you draw those things to you even faster, because you feel like you have everything. And if you feel like you have everything, then everything you want comes. So how then can we practice being in the present moment? Now, one of the things that I experienced when I was very young, and I guess you could say it was like enlightenment, because that's basically what the present moment is. When you get really present in the present, you experience an enlightenment. And I experienced this when I was a child, actually. And I remember I was sitting on my parents' sofa, and I was looking up at the ceiling. I just had my head back and I was just looking up at the ceiling. And for some reason, my parents had a wallpaper on their ceilings. In fact, I think it's still there. And it had like a pattern on this on the ceiling, and I remember just sitting back and observing it, and I became very, very aware of where I was, and I was like, oh my god, this is my life. I don't know if you've ever had that moment where you're sort of like just really like conscious of, oh my god, here I am. You just become so like, you become so present that it kind of blows your mind that this is your body, this is your life, and these are your choices, this is your house, this is everything. And that's the kind of moment that I had. I was just like sort of blown away by like the present moment, like, whoa, I'm alive, this is real, this is happening now. I wasn't living in the program. I wasn't thinking about the future, I wasn't thinking about the past, I wasn't thinking about what I wanted to do. I was just literally just in the present moment. And I was just blown away by it. And ever since then, I can still sort of recreate that. And the best way to do it is to focus on something. It could be that you light a candle and you just focus on the candle flame and just try to remain present. And what happens is, what you'll find is that your thoughts will start to drift. And that's fine. It's completely normal. That's 100% normal. Okay? Because that's the training, right? Once you realize that your mind drifted, you bring it back to the present moment and you focus again on that candle. You focus again on whatever it is that you're focusing on. And you become back to the present moment. And that's how you do it. And then you remember to feel the things that you want to feel. You remember to think about the things you want to think about. And that's the job, that's the practice. And you just keep on doing that until you get better and better at it, right? You focus on the present moment, you notice that you're drifting, you come back. And you just keep on doing that, right? So try and do that throughout your day today. It could be when you're watching TV, just become really focused on the present moment. You'll notice that at some point your thoughts start to drift. Perhaps it'll only be 10 seconds of being present, and then you bring it back, and then maybe you can extend it to 20 seconds before your mind drifts again, then you bring it back. And that's the process. That's the process. And when you get into that present moment, you feel wholeness. You feel like everything's already happened, everything's already worked out. And what you may need to do is, while you're in the present moment, if you can't quite pick up those emotions, what you do is you think, you send a thought out, you think about what it is that you want, and then you imagine yourself living that life, and then you'll start to feel the emotions. So whenever you get back into that present moment, do that, okay? And then what you're doing is you're conditioning your body to feel like it lives in the present moment. Now, don't get this twisted, okay? It takes practice. It's going to take time for you to get this. It's going to take time for you to become more present than unconscious. Okay? So understand that it is a practice, that it may take some time. It may take a few months in order to get to this place of trying to be present most of the time and feeling like your wishes have been fulfilled most of the time. I'm not promising instant results. Some people may be so good at it to begin with that they can do that, right? But it is a process and it may take time, okay? And I know there's a lot of people on the internet that say, oh yeah, things can happen within like an hour. Things can happen within minutes. Not always. In fact, most of the time, it's going to take some time for you to reprogram yourself, to condition yourself into this new way of being, okay? It's going to take time. But I promise, if you stick to it and you take it seriously and you keep coming back to this video to remind yourself of it, then eventually you will get there. You will get to the point where you can live in the end result all the time, because you're present all the time and you're not letting your thoughts go to unwanted places. Even if when you only get to a place where you're just no longer dwelling on thoughts that you don't want to think, that's still way better than the before, So if you notice that you're thinking of something that you don't like and you can sense that uneasiness, again, come back to the present moment and then think about things that you want to think about. Think about things that are nice, essentially, right? That's what it's all about. Thinking of things that are nice, so you feel nice emotions, you feel more whole, you feel more complete, and yeah, just have a happier day, just have a happier existence if you do that. So if you only do that, and maybe you don't manifest the whatever it is, that because maybe you've got like a grand manifestation, maybe you want to manifest like $1 billion, £1 billion or something. You may not get that, but you may do. I'm not saying you can't, I'm just saying that you may not. But at least then at least you are living a happier life by just focusing on thoughts that feel good rather than thoughts that feel bad. That's one of the best things about this kind of like the law of attraction kind of videos. It's always teaching you that you need to just feel good and to feel more positive emotions and to force yourself to feel more positive emotions. Okay? By just thinking nicer things, thinking about nicer things and letting go of those thoughts that are not nice, and just, again, bringing yourself back to that present moment and becoming aware of the thoughts that you're saying to yourself that aren't good, and changing them and switching them up to something that feels a little bit better. And it doesn't have to be amazingly better, just a little bit better. It could be that, let's say you've got this belief or this feeling of, I feel really ugly. I feel ugly. I feel disgusting. I hate myself. I hate the way that I look. And you're thinking that. But then you bring it back and you're like, hang on a minute. There are people in my life who have found me attractive. Because, perhaps you're married, so you know that your spouse thinks you're attractive, because they probably wouldn't have married you if they weren't. Perhaps you've had times in the past where people have developed a crush on you, and you know that, even if you didn't reciprocate. So then like, okay, actually, I'm probably not as bad as I think I look. Just something like that. It doesn't have to be, like a complete twist on the thought, like a complete flip on the, on the head of, like, I'm amazing, I'm beautiful, I'm the most attractive person in the universe. You don't have to do that. Just find a thought, as Abraham Hicks would say. Just find a thought that feels a bit better. Okay. But again, like I said, it's practice. It's a practice. But if you can get a hold on this, it's going to transform your life. It will transform your life. But you've got to practice it. You've got to do it day in, day out. You've got to practice. Okay, and don't beat yourself up as well. Do not beat yourself up about it. If you do actually discover that you spent half an hour thinking about things that are bad, that are not good, don't beat yourself up. Again, just bring yourself back to the present moment and think about the things that you want to think about. Think about things that are nice, so you can feel nicer emotions and feel nicer. Okay? So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. and you can click on whichever coaching option works best for you at this current time if you'd like more help with this. Okay? So thank you so much, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.